The film starts when a woman named Catherine Harlow arrives at a location carrying a pistol. She encounters her brother, Bert, two of his friends, Bash, and another whose face is not shown. They'd brutally slaughtered dozens of gang members. Catherine threatens to expose Bert's actions, but Bert is unafraid. Before leaving, they chain Catherine's hands and pull her away. It's unclear what led to this incident. Several years later, Catherine, who is still alive, has changed her identity to Doris. She marries an older man named Tommy, who is seriously ill. He is very wealthy, owning a company and a luxurious restaurant. Shortly after, dozens of Tommy's employees, including Tommy's son named Colin and his wife Molly, attend a party. Colin dislikes Catherine, accusing his of only pursuing Tommy's wealth. At night, Colin orders Catherine to come to the restaurant. Colin has summoned his father's associate named Lender Eka Big Graham. Despite Catherine being Tommy's wife for the past 6 years and contributing to the restaurant's progress, Colin refuses to accept the restaurant as falling into Catherine's hands. Consequently, he asks for Graham's help, a mafia member, to threaten Catherine into signing an agreement to hand over the restaurant to Colin. Catherine knows that Graham and Colin are using the restaurant for money laundering. When she refuses, the mafia members beat her and force her to sign the papers. The story then switches to a man named Ethan, who is recruited to join the banished brawlers gang. He is taken by a member named Brew to their headquarters, which has the symbol 707 with a spider logo. The gang's headquarters is located in a nightclub, one of the drug and pancake trading bases. The banished brawlers gang, led by Bert and his right-hand man Joel, the characteristic of this gangster is recognizable by the river tattoo on its neck. Brew introduces Ethan to Joel, who considers him fragile due to his tiny body. Ethan then taken by two other members named Maddie and Johnson. They will test Ethan's mental toughness for recruitment into the Phoenix crew, still part of the banished brawlers gang. Afterward, his head is covered, and Ethan is taken to a bar where the 5 members of the Happiness Ghouls gang are present. Maddie deliberately picks a fight with their gang member named Gary, and a brawl ensues. Despite his tiny body, Ethan bravely faces the attackers, and eventually the 3 of them are kicked out of the bar, even Gary stabbing Ethan in the stomach. Returning to Catherine, she meets her friend Whit to ask for help. After the events from her past, she is determined to seek revenge on the banished brawlers gang. Therefore, she hopes to receive her share of Tommy's inheritance for her mission. It is revealed that Maddie and his 2 companions are nicknamed the 3 Phoenix Rivers, which is the lifeblood of the banished brawlers. They have 13 branches of nightclubs, and 707 is the center headquarters, where they provide the needs for each unit, including cash, alcoholic beverages, and entry tickets. This beautiful woman is Meredith, Bert's daughter, the gang leader, and a drug dealer. As for the club visitors, back at headquarters, Joel is displeased with Maddie's actions. It will trigger a renewed war between the 2 gangsters, especially if Bert knows about this problem. Meredith had time to acquaintance with Ethan, who became a new member. Joel is angry at Meredith for marketing the drugs concealed in bullet casings. Despite the disapproval of Joel and Bert, especially Bert being abroad, and Meredith feels fearless. Suddenly, Maddie beats Avron, Bert's nephew, who provoked his emotions, and Joel has to intervene to break them up. Eventually, Tommy dies from his illness. Will Catherine, also known as Doris, failed to obtain her inheritance. Due to the problems caused by Maddie, now all banished brawlers gang members must meet with the Ghouls gang in a track. Joel invites Bash to join them. They use distinctive antique cars, a hallmark of the gang. Meanwhile, Catherine meets Colin at his house, hoping to change his decision regarding his father's inheritance, which should rightfully go to Catherine as Tommy wished. However, due to Colin's stubbornness, Catherine suddenly restrains him, tying his hands and neck with cable ties. Without hesitation, Catherine burns the letter and shoots Colin dead. What Catherine did according to the agreement with Molly. Another fact is revealed that Catherine assigned Ethan to infiltrate as a member of the banished brawlers gang for her revenge mission. The banished brawlers and the ghouls are now facing each other. Will the war of these 2 gang groups will be ensued? And in the scene shown, it is revealed that Ethan works at Catherine's bar. A drunken visitor insults Ethan because Catherine calls him Sweet Pea. When this guy comes out, Ethan immediately beats him brutally. At this moment, Catherine sees Ethan's bravery. After Ethan is imprisoned for the assault case, Catherine frees Ethan by paying his bail. Accompanied by Whit explains that Ethan was declared dead by the assault victim, and he will indeed be arrested again unless Ethan is willing to carry out the tasks assigned by her. And that's why Ethan has now become a member of the banished brawlers gang. He is returning to the 2 confronting gang groups. a lieutenant from the ghouls named Konstantinov, demands that Joel surrender 3 of his members who caused the problems in the bar, but Bash refuses. He is not afraid even if war breaks out. Bash immediately chokes the lieutenant and presents him to the ghouls members. However, none of the ghouls members come to help him. Meanwhile, Molly tells the police that Graham killed her husband Colin. On the other hand, the police ask Catherine for her testimony regarding her husband's death, which is related to her stepson Colin. Both women agree to frame Graham. Whit promptly picks up Catherine and Molly because he realizes the mafia will seek revenge. Lender Graham, who is gathering with his friends at a cafe, is arrested by the police. Catherine is shocked when Ethan informs her that a gang war is about to happen. However, the boldness of the ghouls when Bash chokes their lieutenant is unexpected. Who is Bash in Catherine's eyes? Suddenly, a club visitor dies from a drug overdose sold by Meredith. This incident infuriates Joel even more, angry with his boss's daughter. Meanwhile, Catherine and Molly hide in a motel on the city's out. This tomboyish woman is the queen of the nightclub called Quinn. Until now, Meredith only knew that her mother had passed away, but she feels that her father is hiding something. Joel and Bash place that dead man in a car in a forest to ensure that Meredith is not dragged into this problem. That night, Joel and Bash warn Meredith and her friend Tina, who distribute drugs in this club. Because being the boss's daughter, indeed, he can't do much. Graham is close to the police, who can easily catch him. He is released, but only as a city detainee. He goes to Tommy's funeral in Colin, hoping to find clues about Molly and Doris's whereabouts. He had previously asked Molly's sister, Grace, where Molly was. This man is Graham's lawyer. Suddenly, Molly calls to speak with Grace, and Graham saw it. Molly asks about her husband's body condition because she still loves him. Graham, being clever, calls the operator and eventually finds out that Molly is hiding in a motel called Donut Motel. He assigns his lawyer to hunt down Molly. Catherine goes to a bowling alley to seek help in a revenge mission against Bert and Bash, the mafia she wants to kill. This mafia member is called Bolo. Catherine proposes a collaboration for a big robbery to the gang, but Bolo firmly refuses, especially since Catherine admits she doesn't have the money to pay them. After Bolo leaves, Catherine sees 2 armed robbers entering the location. They force the staff to open a secret door, revealing numerous gambling visitors. The team is compelled to hand over 4 suitcases of money. Surprisingly, Catherine sees them as an opportunity to escape her revenge plan. When the 2 robbers exit, a shootout ensues. Catherine seizes the car of one of Bolo's men who died to pursue the 2 robbers. And then, the scene shows the 2 professional robbers named Earl, his chubby cousin named Cordell. Bolo tries to chase the 2 robbers, but the perpetrators turn off his car tires. On the other side, Catherine does the same but loses track. Suddenly, she spots a parked patrol car passing by. Earl then approaches Catherine after seeing a bullet hole in her windshield. He only warns her to stay away. Catherine is not yet brave enough to reveal her intentions. Based on the information provided by Whit, the 2 professional robbers are known as legends because their targets are only high-class criminals or mafia. Catherine pays attention to the car's name on the perpetrators, Elven Landscaping. Catherine insists on utilizing their services for her plan. Joel gathers all members of the Banished Brawlers gang. 3 members of Phoenix receive praise for the excellent execution of duties, but they also receive criticism for the problems caused by the Ghouls gang, resulting in the gang refusing to pay the tax. Joel emphasizes that a smooth and profitable business is far better than war. The following day, Catherine daringly meets the talented 2 robbers to propose a collaboration, but Earl firmly rejects it, claiming they are just ordinary park officers. It turns out that Whit regularly provides information to Joel and gets paid for his work. Secretly infiltrating the club, he talks to Ethan, advising him to be patient and continue being Catherine's informant. The following day, Meredith hitches a ride in the Phoenix team's car to a location. Meredith seems to like Ethan, but he is still shy because this woman is his boss. Meredith then stops at a public phone booth while carrying her gun. The Phoenix team sends their club tickets to a bar. Suddenly, a man comes to buy tickets to enter the gangsters club, the Banished Brawlers. A member of the Ghouls gang arrives to pick up Meredith, revealing that Meredith wants to buy Gary's Apple Point motorcycle, which needs to be modified. A police officer stops the Phoenix team's car. They worry about potential problems, especially since they have long firearms on the team. Maddie wants to make this new officer, who doesn't know them, as members of the Banished Brawlers gang. The police officer is curious to see what is inside the truck, but Maddie refuses. Finally, the officer leaves after contacting his superior. Back to Meredith, who receives her drugs from this woman. On the other hand, Meredith watches a recording of her mother riding the motorcycle. So, her purpose is to get to know more about her mother. Maddie explains to Ethan about Catherine's character, who joined the Ghouls gang and betrayed Bert, even though they are siblings. Bert receives praise from his members and other gangsters for successfully expanding the Vanished Brawlers gang. The organization's business develops like a coal mine or a gold. When Catherine returns to the motel, she is shocked to find the two robbers in her room. Earl threatens Catherine not to kill her, as they refuse to work with them. Catherine refuses to give up. She wants to meet with Bolo again because of the threat she received. Catherine offers to reveal the names and locations of the two robbers who stole Bolo's money if they help her. However, Bolo is badly beaten, seemingly by his boss. Catherine then invites Bolo and his men to the hideout of the two robbers. Once there, Bolo underestimates them, and Catherine seizes the opportunity, taking out Bolo's weapon. Earl and Cordell then kill Bolo and his guards. Is this a sign of agreement that the two robbers will accept Catherine's offer? And the scene shows the story of Bert, Bash, and Joel is shown in fragments at the beginning of the film, piece by piece. It is revealed that Joel has just joined the Brawlers gang. He eliminated all the members with his weapon, and then covered their heads with bags featuring the Ghouls gang's signature symbol. What is Bert's true motive for these heinous acts? It seems that Joel regrets his past actions. Meanwhile, Molly spends her time tidying up her motel room. Afterward, she goes to the motel reception to ask for the location of the nearest train station in town. Is Molly trying to escape from Catherine? Catherine finally gets the green light from the two professional robbers to carry out her plan to rob the Brawlers gang. If necessary, they won't hesitate to kill. Joel has a meeting with Jukes, the gang's boss. To resolve their issues, Joel reduces the for the Ghouls taxes and assigns them power in the eastern region. Joel does this because he doesn't want further wars. Beside the mafia members and drug addicts, it turns out that dozens of corrupt police officers regularly visit Club 707. The police chief informs Joel that one of his subordinates once spotted Bert at a location. So far, Bert has been reported missing, but his whereabouts are still unclear. Suddenly, he asks for drugs frequently circulated in this club. Although previously, Joel forbids Meredith from marketing that stuff now, he is forced to ask for them. When entering the restroom, the police chief recognizes Ethan, who he previously arrested. Of course, Ethan is worried, but since he is now a member of the Brawlers gang, Maddie calmly advises him. Catherine, accompanied by Earl and Cordell, leaves the motel to gather information about their plan, while Molly is left alone in her room. At the same time, Big Grom's lawyer arrives at the motel. The motel staff is afraid they can't prevent it when he takes all the keys. He checks each hotel room, one by one, until he finds Molly. Meanwhile, Earl explains to Catherine that their targets are mostly mafia members involved in drug smuggling. Until criminals pose as priests, Catherine assigns Ethan to seek information about the Brawlers gang's safe. When the psychopath disguised as a lawyer, Molly secretly takes an iron, because she feels her life will end if she doesn't fight back. When holding a wire, Molly strikes the psychopath's face with the iron. But it doesn't hinder him. When Catherine and her team return to the motel, they find Molly's blood-covered body. Molly managed to fight back and kill the psychopath sent by Big Graham. Let's return to Joel, who has a daughter named Lila, whom he takes care of alone after his divorce. After the incident, Earl brings Catherine and Molly to his house. Molly initially wants to escape, but decides to go wherever Catherine goes. Though a bit reluctant, Bernice can accept them. When Catherine explains that the person who sent the psychopath was Graham, surprisingly, Earl and Cordell laugh, because they know Graham well and have robbed that mafia 6 times. Earl then shows the characteristic masks of the two robbers, nicknamed the Monster Ring. The next day, the team departs with their weapons to the city where the Brawlers gang is located. This time, Joel's past is revealed, where he had a close relationship with the Brawlers member named Rita. One day, both of them, accompanied by Johnson, entered a bar, and shortly after, Joel came out with injuries. From that moment, Joel and Rita began a love story that eventually led to the birth of their daughter. Currently, Rita has started a new life outside of the gang, and Joel wants to protect her daughter from the gangster life, so he decides to hand Lila over to Rita. Rita is willing to accept her, but ensures that Lila will never meet Joel again. When Catherine calls, Maddie picks it up because Ethan is still deeply asleep. Fortunately, Maddie has not suspected Ethan's disguise. While playing baseball, Ethan reveals his identity as a killer while working at a restaurant. Afterward, he flees and joins the Brawlers gang. Beautiful Meredith confesses to Joel that she plans to start a new life outside the gang with the antique motorcycle she bought. However, Joel feels incapable of doing the same as he is trapped in it. Gary visits a barber shop belonging to Percy to deliver his tax payment to the Brawlers gangsters. Catherine and her team are already observing the shop. Percy looks like he is hiding his fear when Catherine comes to see him. It turns out that Percy is selling tickets to the Brawlers Club. Catherine wants to ensure that Percy believes that Catherine is a traitor who joined the Ghouls gang to slaughter the Brawlers members. Seeing her angry expression, Earl quickly grabs the gun hidden under his jacket, and suddenly this happens. Catherine swiftly shoots Percy and his subordinate. Fortunately, Earl survives from being shot because he is wearing a bulletproof vest. The Phoenix team is going to Percy's store and had crosses with Catherine and her team. Maddie and his two friends were shocked to see Percy covered in blood and wearing the Ghouls mask. Catherine makes the murder look like the work of the Ghouls gang, hoping to reignite the war between the two gangs. Joel and Bash immediately rush to the crime scene upon hearing of Percy's death. The one who feels the most grief over Percy's death is Bash. He speeds to the Ghouls gang's headquarters. He takes a handspike from the car trunk and enters the bar. Bash, furious, he slaughters 5 members of the Ghouls gang, and the last person he kills is Gary. Joel and the Phoenix team arrive too late and cannot prevent the tragedy. Word is revealed that Percy were comrades during the war. At that time, Bash had already become a member of the Brawlers gang, but Percy didn't want to get involved. However, he was still willing to help the gang's family. And this is Bert, the leader of the Brawlers gang, chooses to isolate himself far from headquarters. Quinn comes there to inform Bert of the current situation. If Bert doesn't want the gang organization he built to disappear, he must return. Fed up with what has been happening and the tasks given by Catherine, Ethan finally destroys his phone. This is absolutely dramatically injuring Catherine as she can no longer contact her informant. Bert finally comes down the mountain to rejoin his gang members. Well, this feared Bert will lead directly to the war against the Ghouls. After her boyfriend's death, Gertrude expresses her sadness to Meredith. Even so, she feels resigned, and both agree to start a new life outside from their respective gangs. All the members of the Brawlers welcome Bert's return. However, Bert doesn't respond much. Instead, his nephew approaches him. Bert chooses to meet Bash at his house. He understands Bash's actions, and now they must plan the attack before the Ghouls gang takes action. Meanwhile, Joel has a meeting with Jukes. Jukes confirms that Konstantinov and Gary have no connection to Percy's death. However, Joel can't easily believe it. With Bert's return, these two gang groups will undoubtedly be involved in a war. At night, Bert returned to the base and greeted the Phoenix team. All the Brawlers members gathered to pay attention to the war speech delivered by the top leader. For him, the death of one member is the same as hurting the whole body, so there is no room for retreat or fear. It's time to fight. Meanwhile, secretly, Catherine visits Bash's house when he was asleep. When Catherine is about to shoot him, Lila suddenly appears, causing Catherine to change her mind. It turns out that the tattoo on Catherine's hand matches Bash's hand. Before she leaves, Catherine leaves behind her bird doll. Joel finally hands Lila over to her biological mother with a heavy heart, but it's all for the sake of her daughter's well-being. In the morning, Bash was surprised to see the bird carving, reminding him of someone special. Phoenix team. Especially Ethan was shocked when Catherine visits them. She was just curious about their uniforms. Ethan appears nervous and afraid as his identity is about to be exposed. However, Catherine only wants to give Ethan a new phone to stay in touch. Gertrude invites Meredith to her headquarters before leaving the city. Some of the Ghouls gang members are already waiting for her. Gertrude framed Meredith to be handed over to them. Meredith quickly draws her gun and wipes them out. Gertrude was afraid to shoot Meredith and finally leave from there, where the past of Quinn and Bert is revealed. They killed a married couple who had harmed one of the Quinn's girls. They brought the little girl back to the headquarters to care for her and named her Meredith. Upon discovering the incident, Phoenix team who got an information immediately went to pick up Meredith, and she was shocked as it was her first time killing 4 people at once. Ethan tries to calm her down while cleaning the blood from her face. Upon arrival at the headquarters, Maddie informs Bert about the incident, Meredith admitting that she also killed Gertrude. Bert knows that Meredith wants to leave the gangster family, but Bert reminds her that no matter how far she goes, she can't separate herself from her identity as a member of the Brawlers. As the situation becomes more dangerous, Molly is given a weapon from Earl's collection. Molly is assigned as the driver when the three of them execute the plan at the Brawlers' headquarters. With the incident that happened to Meredith, Joel and Bert understand that an open war is imminent. Joel feels regret when Bert has been in isolation because he was being unable to control the Ghouls gang, which has become a time bomb. Tired of the situation, Ethan secretly goes to a motel to kill Catherine, but Earl stops his attempt. Catherine forgives him because she understands what the sweet nut has been through. Catherine hopes Ethan will continue playing his role, so all their weapons are entrusted to Ethan and hidden in the Brawlers' headquarters. Joel bravely goes alone to the Ghouls gang's headquarters to meet Konstantinov. They discuss what happened to Meredith, which Joel thought that had also planned by Jukes. However, the lieutenant didn't expect Joel to finish him off. Bert asks Phoenix team to deliver meetings between several chapters or other gangsters under the command of the Brawlers. At night, Catherine and her team infiltrate the club wearing masks. While Molly stands by in the car, carrying the tickets, Catherine and her team are allowed to enter without took out of her mask. After incapacitating a member who was guarding the back door, the three of them immediately grab the hidden weapons by Ethan. The team forces the officer to open the safe. It turned out that the safe was empty, without a single dollar. The problem escalated when the Queen discovered their actions. With no other choice, the three of them had to escape from the club quickly. Meanwhile, Quinn deployed her armed girls to kill the three masked robbers, leading to a fierce shootout. One by one, the Brawlers members were eliminated. In his action to fight back, Cordell was injured. Catherine had to confront the Quinn, but she only realized it when she saw the tattoo on her hand. Catherine and her team managed to escape from the club. Joel, who had just arrived, was shocked to see rows of his members' corpses. And we moved to where the past story of Whit was revealed when he was tasked to finding lands and buildings previously used as locations for several Brawlers gangster clubs. When Whit was young, he liked Catherine, who from old became a club dancer. Some years later, Whit sees Catherine again at a restaurant. Since then, Catherine asks for Whit's help in her revenge plan against Bert. Phoenix team, who is on duty, suddenly stopped their car after getting news of an attack at headquarters. Quinn is convinced that Catherine is the culprit. They are shocked that Bert's sister has disappeared. Now, they realize that Catherine did the murder of Percy to provoke conflict between the two gangs. Joel is just curious why Catherine also wants their money, and that is what they need to find out. Catherine appears disheveled as her mission to seize the gang's wealth has failed, especially after she made promises to Earl and Cordell. Cordell suffers a severe stab wound in the back, and Molly helps sew it up. Earl initially blames Ethan, but Catherine feels his mistake because she knows that in the past, the Brawlers always kept their money in the vault. Earl decides to end their partnership. He advises Catherine to solve the issue and move on her life. Avron showed a bag of weapons to Brew he found in the back room. He suspects an insider was smuggling the guns into the club. However, Brew refuses to respond to the accusation, as most members do not like him. Ethan immediately contacts Catherine as his cover is at risk due to Catherine and her team carelessly leaving the evidence. In a warehouse, Joel has a meeting with Jukes, who brings several members. It turns out Maddie was intentionally brought along to protect him. Joel offers a peace deal to the gangster leader of the Ghouls, suggesting that the ongoing conflict between them results from manipulation or instigation by someone based on past events. However, Jukes rejects the offer because he lost several members, especially Konstantinov, who Joel eliminated. Whit, feeling concerned after Ethan informs that Catherine left the evidence inside the club. Whit advises Ethan to immediately escape from this area. However, Ethan, who now feels like a genuine gangster with the Phoenix team, chooses to stay. Ethan invites Meredith to watch a movie at night, and Meredith agrees with it. That night, Joel, annoyed by the events, expresses his frustration while getting drunk, accompanied by Maddie. Maddie didn't know that Joel had been killing many Brawlers members on Bert's orders at this location. Since then, he officially joins the gang, and Catherine returns for revenge. Suddenly, the phone in Maddie's car rings, but Joel prohibits answering it as he doesn't want to hear any more bad news. Vash realizes that Catherine has come to avenge their actions against her. All this time, Vash chooses loyalty and believes in Bert, even willing to sacrifice his love for Catherine. That night, Ethan invites Meredith to watch a movie. When Meredith goes to the toilet, it turns out that Earl is behind her. Earl forces Ethan to join him. Meredith, who saw him, immediately followed them until they entered a motel room. Ethan feels annoyed by the way Catherine calls him. Catherine confesses that she only wants his help once more, After that, Ethan can decide his own path. After discovering that Ethan betrayed her, Meredith tries to call Maddie, but with no response, she daringly enters the hotel room, pointing a gun. Suddenly, Molly hit her from behind, causing her to faint. It is revealed that Bash and Catherine are lovers, and as a sign of his love, Bash bought a house for their future. Bash expressed his desire to leave the gangster life and start a new life with Catherine. As the reports to Brew received no response, everyone daringly reports directly to Bert about his findings. After Meredith wakes up, Catherine hints at her past as she reveals that Meredith is not Bert's biological child. They both meet Ethan, so Catherine asks Meredith to keep this secret from Bert. When Joel returns to the base, Bert immediately goes to Avron to find a bag of weapons. Joel gets angry as Avron accuses Maddie of being a traitor who smuggled the guns into the club. Catherine asked for Ethan's help to mention the Phoenix team's route when carrying the proceeds from the ticket sales club. Meredith and Ethan went back to the base. Meredith vents her anger on the way back because Ethan had betrayed her. However, as Ethan confesses falling in love to her, Meredith forgives him and promises not to reveal his actions. At the headquarters, Joel invites Maddie and Ethan to meet Bert. Initially, they engage in casual conversation, but suddenly, Bert chokes Maddie. At the same time, he was asking if he helped Catherine smuggle her weapons. As Maddie feels innocent, he swears he didn't do it. Ethan, who saw this incident, looking very afraid that the gang leader chokes him. He has no choice but to admit it. Luckily, Bert believes in Maddie's confession and immediately lets him go. And now, Meredith's turn to ask Bert, who are her real parents? Bert manipulated the actual story. Meredith's biological father is an ordinary man who often comes to the club and buys a drug from Catherine. Because he cannot pay again, he treats her indolently until Catherine, who is Revenger, kills Meredith's biological father. Since then, Meredith has been taken to the club and raised by Bert as his adopted child. Catherine asks her team to help seize the money from the brawlers the Phoenix team brought, as well as to remove Ethan from the group. Meredith asks Quinn if it's true that Catherine killed her parents, as Bert claimed. Quinn says yes, even though she and Bert were killed Meredith's parents. Ethan, who is angry, sets a trap for Avron to meet Brew in the back room. In reality, here Ethan instantly eliminates him. There are two fundamental reasons. First, he doesn't want his disguise to be exposed, and second, his loyalty to the Phoenix team. Meredith admits to Bert that she met someone with a neck wound. Afterward, she goes to a motel and sees Catherine in room number 126. At the same time, Bert assigns Joel to bring some members to the motel. Meanwhile, Catherine visits Bash at the house that was once gifted to her. Coming by carrying a shotgun, Catherine seeks revenge for Bash. Here, Bash didn't want to fight her at all. Bash's leg becomes her primary target. Ethan asks Maddie and Johnson's help to dispose of Avron's body. Dozens of Brawlers members invade that motel. Quinn and Bert enter the room, but find no one inside, while Joel asks the hotel staff about Catherine. It turns out that Earl is there, holding a pistol hidden behind a book. Cordell and Molly are hiding in the secret room. Joel sees his neck wound as described by Meredith's story. As he claims not to recognize her and is holding a weapon, Joel finally chooses to retreat. Catherine stabs Bash's body multiple times. When Catherine is about to execute him, suddenly, other members arrive to save Bash. It is revealed that when Bert was young, he killed her bitter and weak father. He even burned down the house and left with Catherine. She claims that her gangster spirit comes from their mother's DNA, but Bert's deep affection for his sister changes, as shown at the film's beginning. Catherine is tortured and dragged by a car, resulting in severe injuries all over her body. Surprisingly, the one who saves her is Quinn. At that time, Quinn had already warned her not to go to Bert's location and massacred his members. Once her wounds heal, Quinn tells Catherine to go far away. But if she intends to return for revenge against her brother, she will need this pistol. Back to the Phoenix team, who work together to dispose of Avron's body. Meanwhile, Bruce succeeds in saving Bash, who almost dies due to numerous stab wounds. In resurfaces, Graham discovers the hotel room where his lawyer was executed. With a cup of drink from the bowling alley, Graham got information from Tolly that Catherine he was hunt receives assistance from two robbers known as the Monster Ring. Bert and Joel return to the motel to threaten the motel employee into revealing with whom Catherine frequently met at that location. Finally, Joel realizes that he is Wit, a member of the Ghouls gang with his iconic bird mask, tailing Rita and her daughter. When Wit visits the club, Bert immediately hangs him. Finally, this gang leader finds out that the traitor is Ethan. After Whit dies, Bert seizes his phone to contact Catherine. Catherine was shocked to hear Bert's voice on the other end of the line, realizing that Whit has been killed and Ethan will be the next target. When the Phoenix team is on the way, Catherine and her team immediately intercept them. One bag of the result-selling tickets club loot, including Ethan, who forces to join. Just escaped for a few moments. It turns out that Maddie and Johnson successfully intercept them by cutting them off. They are not concerned about the money. Their only desire is to have Ethan released. Although Catherine tries to prevent it since she already knows Ethan is the gang's traitor, Ethan chooses to lead with the Phoenix team. Rita finally realizes that the Ghouls group has kidnapped her daughter. Meredith unexpected that Bert knows that Ethan is the traitor, so she sends her members to hunt down Ethan. Again and again, Meredith struggles to warn the Phoenix team. Joel was shocked when Rita brings badly about his daughter after seeing the sack mask she carries, while Earl has to go and rescue Bernest, who is held hostage by Graham. Catherine contacts Bert to settle their issues face-to-face, while Meredith quickly goes to save Ethan. Matt was surprised to see dozens of Brawlers members chasing after them. Eventually, Ethan confesses that he is a traitor working with Catherine. Will Maddie surrender Ethan? He and Johnson choose to retrieve their weapons and eliminate them. Ethan, whom he considers his brother, is more important than any other member. Meanwhile, Joel and Brew go on a rampage at the Ghouls' headquarters. With bare hands, they brutally attack numerous gangster members. And finally, Joel eliminates the leader, Jukes. He did everything to save his daughter. They must know never to mess with this genuine gangster. Catherine arrives to meet Bert, but before that, Quinn asks her to surrender her pistol. Catherine enters the warehouse and sits face-to-face with her brother. However, Catherine is holding another pistol and shoots Bert dead. It turns out Catherine had 2 guns given by Molly. The revenge mission against her brother is now complete. Meredith sees the gangster members who pursued Ethan are all dead. Maddie just punched Ethan to vent his anger. They remain as siblings in the struggle as the Phoenix team, and then the film ends.